Hmm. All right. Yeehaw! Hey. Oh, God. It's Crazy-Ass Fridays. It hits early. Let's have some. Let's have some music till we get live everywhere.
The shadows creeping closer, the banners hanging low. A silent war of whispers that nobody's supposed to know. Underneath the surface, they pull a string so tight. A puppet show of promises fading out of sight. Corrupt decree and tyranny, the dark side of the game. They're stealing our tomorrow, but they'll never take the blame. The deep state's dirty deeds, running wild and free. While justice hides in shadows, we all drown in their decree. They rape, rob and pillage, breaking spirit, breaking soul. For the willing, they will steal it, take control, take control. The mind and pockets empty, left with nothing to behold. They're enslaved by ego, and it's time to be bold. Subliminal control, a web of lies weaves tight. Society subservient, it's a silent fight. The echoes of our failures drown out the sound of hope. But we're stronger than their tyranny, together we will cope. Oh, the deep state's dirty deeds, we won't let them pass us by. Time to rise and stand united, let our voices touch the sky. They rape, rob and pillage, breaking spirit, breaking soul. For the willing, they will steal it, take control, take control. The mind and pockets empty, left with nothing to behold. They're enslaved by ego, and it's time to be bold. Can you see behind the curtain? Can you break the chains of thought? Awake and fight, it's our time. Stay on board, stay on call. They rape, rob and pillage, breaking spirit, breaking soul. For the willing, they will steal it, take control, take control. The mind and pockets empty, left with nothing to behold. They're enslaved by ego, and it's time to be bold. Whispers of tyranny, echoing loud and clear. We'll reclaim our freedom. Together we have no fear. No longer bound by shadows. Our light will break the night. In the name of love and justice, we'll rise up and fight.
Yeehaw! All right. Let me pause the moonshine. Oh, shot.
When the darkness seems so near.
Where we at? There we are. Okay, got that paused. Waiting on Rev Radio to wrap up their breaks, but all right, yeehaw! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. God bless you. It's time for Crazy-Ass Fridays here on the Revolution in the Morning show. And well, they they just be showing how crazy these idiots are today. It's hilarious, man. I am telling you. Let's start with New York. Hey, isn't Dave? Isn't he up from up there in the Catskills, up there in the land of retardation nation? Yeah, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, Kathy Hochul says that please, if you have lots and lots of money, please don't leave the state. I know I'm the wicked witch from Albany, but give me a break. I inherited the job from another retard. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, remember she kind of became infamous, in her lockdown pandemic shit, between her and Kumo. I mean, I'm telling you, they murdered more people than the scamdemic did. Okay, the medical system murdered more people than will ever be known. Okay, when it comes to quote unquote COVID, yeah, they intubed people to fucking death. God, I'm gonna get fucking bent out of shape right along here. Okay. Oh yeah, we're getting ready to hit the intro, so over on Rev Radio. So get ready, man. Anyway, man, I am telling you, Kathy says, "Oh please, man, please don't leave. I know, we got Muslims and morons in charge of New York City." Yeah. Kathy Hochul once claimed to a congregation of New York Christians that I prayed a lot to God. And during that time, you know what God said? God did answer our prayers. He said to take the COVID vaccine. Man, that bitch better get ready to barbecue for the rest of her life in hell. I just don't. When you're an apostle, when you're an apostle for what's his name, Dr. Fauci. You're just plain fucked in the head. All right, we got about 10 seconds or so till we hit Rev Radio. All right. So stand by because we're going to kick it back into gear. All right, yeah. Yeehaw! Yeah, Kathy Hochul. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, Kathy Hochul up in New York says, please don't leave. Don't move to Florida. Please don't leave New York City, where you have, coming soon. Coming soon, you have another a sci-fi movie fantasy fulfilled. The only problem is, I think Kurt Russell is too old to play, Snake Plissken anymore. Okay, and Long Island, of course, it will become the prison of New York. If it's not almost already there. God bless the people live upstate. Man, they, every day they bless themselves. God, man, I'm glad I live in upstate New York and not down there in the Swiss cesspool. It seems like I better shut up. Anyway, yeah, Kathy Hochul says, oh, come on, man. Just because, people with a brain that can think. And the other part of that is they have enough money to pick up their shit and go somewhere else are doing it. Okay? Anyway. during a question and answer last week in New York Agenda's Albany Summit, the governor surprised people telling the rare truth that people are leaving. The state's tax base is gone. Or yeah, hey, maybe if you wouldn't be on the illegal immigrant Muslim gravy train, okay? You know, California is not a role model. California is a warning for America, okay? And, you know, hey, don't get me started because, you know, now the, man, I'm telling you, the homeless in Roanoke, Virginia area, man, they're becoming infamous in their own right. And I guess you better steal from the right or wrong people because I know people that'll chase them down the street and beat them up, and cripple the motherfucker even more. So, well, then he can't do his drugs. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. All I can tell you is that the degradation of our communities is happening in real time. And it's happening in a real-time parallel response to this rise of idiocracy, the rise of illiberalism, because it sure isn't real caring for all peoples, okay? Let's be honest, okay? If you really care for people, can you let them lay there and dope themselves away? I don't care if you're Philadelphia and you're looking at and you got places in Baltimore, you got places in every city where people will go and kind of shoot up and zombie around. I mean, shouldn't somebody going through there and giving them all Narcan just to fucking destroy their buzz? Wouldn't that be payback as a motherfucker? And that's what the city should be doing. The city should be picking these homeless addicts up, giving them. Here's the thing: giving them something, Narcan or something. Get them into a program. I don't give a shit if it's wherever it is. I'm just saying the destruction of our societies can't continue, while at the same time we take all of our resources and give them to essentially illegal immigrant invaders. This is the reason that New York is fucked. This is the reason that they call it Mass A2 shits, okay? That's why they know that Connecticut is a goner. The only thing Maine has is that it's so cold in the winter. Otherwise, you know, it'd be loaded up with more illegal immigrants and more immigrants than you could imagine. We have compassion for a lot of people. But compassion only goes as far as reality. And that's the problem here, okay? I mean, just like California was giving drug addicts during COVID, just ended the program, spent millions of dollars giving just 50 different people that were drug addicts alcohol, delivered alcohol to them by the government. It's bizarre. I mean, I'm sure the bootleggers here in Franklin County, Virginia would love to have a government program that would take their sweet spring water medicinal, their medicine, and distribute it across to the homeless people around Virginia. It's crazy. It is. It's crazy. I mean, they even want people to pay taxes while they live in Florida to still pay New York taxes. I mean, New York's a total joke. As they use this is the think tank that Democrats use, okay? You can't see it, and it's just a T-shirt I picked up. They had it in Dollar General, and I said, "Oh shit! I should have cleared the rack, $5 or $6 a piece." Because I took and I put Team Clinton on the back of it. So people walk up and think, I'm this liberal, and they turn around and they see think tank. They don't get happy. But anyway, who really cares? It's better to be pissed off than pissed on in this world, unless you like golden showers, okay? I don't know what to tell you. What else we got going on here? Let's just start at the top of my list here. Israel vows no more strikes on Iranian energy assets after the South Pars hit sparks a lasting shockwave, okay? And it will because face it, Iran has no option now but to literally attack everybody's oil infrastructure. And they hit a base or a refinery in Haifa, Israel the other day in retaliation or whatever, I don't know. Now China has essentially said, we got your back, Iran. Russia has said, yes, we're gonna stand with Iran, and we stand with Iran. Now, exactly how this is all going to work out, could be kind of a spectacular, for Russia and China, where they end up in control of the world oil supply. It has now been confirmed that India did pay Iran in yuan, Chinese currency, to transit the Gulf of Hormuz. Now, it is said that there are other nations, France and other nations, are wanting to negotiate their own passage. Okay? I don't know how long the U.S. can afford to be, to have that run around the U.S., okay? Now, Iran, listen, when it comes to Iran and Israel, I mean, let's just say mortal, what would you call them? Mortal Zionist enemies and cohorts at the same time. That's how I would kind of describe Islam, okay? But polar opposites, but they still both believe that they are superior to you. Anyway, Bibi Netanyahu says, yeah, by the way, we didn't influence Donald Trump at all. We did not do anything to, I mean, let's, these guys don't understand that they have zero credibility anymore, okay? This Israeli genocider, Bibi Netanyahu, and that's what it is. It's fucking genocide. Listen, I'm not going to lie. Hamas has the same aspirations to do to the IDF what the IDF did to Hamas and Hezbollah in Iran. If the shoe was on the other foot, they'd have that proverbial sandal beating the shit out of the Zionists, okay? But they aren't, and they can't. And they never will. They never will because their culture is for retards. Okay? That's the only way I could describe it. Okay? So, meanwhile, the U.S. is bombing, and Israel said they sunk all the Caspian Sea fleet. Yeah, it's and then they started bombing the parts of the gas field. That was the part that pissed Donald Trump off, I guess. I don't think Donald Trump is pissed off. I think he's loving his golden showers, and I think Donald Trump is actually reveling in this craziness because it's boosting his ego, and he feels powerful and strong as his instead of this impotent, 79-year-old man. Okay. I guess that's the best way I could to describe it for you. Okay. So anyway, the war with Iran is expected to last till they don't know when. Remember it was 3 or 4 weeks, and the truth is these attacks will go on for months. Donald Trump is, for some reason, I think he wants to put boots on the ground on Carr's Island and in limited places along the Iranian coast. Okay, I think he wants to build bases so he can secure the Gulf of Hormuz. Okay, I think this is the retarded Pentagon plan. Okay, because with friendlies on one side of the Gulf, they really just have to prevent the bad guys along the shores of the northern coast of the Hormuz Straits. So I believe Donald Trump has the advice coming from the Pentagon and all the intel officials that listen. Now here's the thing. They have gotten all this shit from the Mossad, okay? From Claude, okay? AI battlefield modeling Claude, okay, I think is what its name is, all right? It's the same shit that Israel used to target the Gaza Strip. And it, literally it worked out that the buildings that stood up highest were always hit first. And then you just pounded everything into rubble. But, Donald Trump Donald Trump believed that he was saving Israel and saving the world. And the truth is, October the 7th was an Israeli false flag. Just as almost all of these wars and all of these provocations that we see turn out to be some kind of strategic false flag by one side or the other. It's wow. It's pretty fucked up. That's what I'll say. What does the U.S. intend to do in Iran? They don't know. I think they're going to let it turn into a festering pus hole. Okay. Meanwhile, the Director of Homeland Intelligence or Security is a DHI, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is pissing people off, pissing Pakistan off, okay? Said that Pakistan is the next country to look at and to be concerned about when it comes to radical Islam, all right? Pakistan is not happy. They're pissed. No, they're really fucking pissed, okay? Particularly since right now Pakistan is in full-blown war with Afghanistan. Okay? Now, I don't know, or I haven't seen reports yet that the Pakistani military have started to make strategic moves and to start and take land from Afghanistan that's along their border. Okay? I don't know if that will happen. I suspect it is happening. Pakistan Pakistan has been looking at hundreds and hundreds of victims of Taliban terrorism, just as, religious terrorism is. So you essentially have a religious, more of a religious war brewing between Afghanistan and the Afghanistan with the Taliban and Pakistan. Okay. Now, what I would say is Pakistan has nuclear weapons. India is well aware. That's two of the minor nuclear powers. I guess that's what I would refer to them as third party, third world almost nuclear weapons holders. Those are dangerous things. I've talked years ago about how H.W. Bush essentially helped Pakistan set up and start producing plutonium to create nuclear weapons. Okay. In fact, I think it's Pakistan has the largest plutonium producing directly for fissionable nuclear material. He has the largest breeder kind of reactor in the world. And not set up with turbines to, send all that energy somewhere. No. So is Pakistan, all this stuff is destabilizing. They're not telling you about the other stuff that is going on up there in the Caucasus between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, okay? They're not telling you about all that shit in Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and all the religious conflicts that are breaking open right there. They're not telling you about that, okay? They're not telling you that as long as the Iran war is going, all negotiations in Ukraine are kaput. They're done. Nobody gives a fuck. They don't want to talk about it. And the Russians are grinding right along as they seized another dozen villages, I guess earlier this month, at the beginning and in the middle of March. So, yeah. It is it's a crazy thing. That's what I would say. Okay? Don't expect peace very soon. Now, in how should I say it? In Europe with the Ukraine war, okay? Evidently they have shut off all gas and stuff to Hungary. And Hungary has said, well, there won't, as far as we're concerned, there won't be any negotiations in Ukraine until our gas is turned back on by Ukraine. Until Ukraine stops attacking these energy hubs that come straight to us. So yeah, it's they're not crazy. Yeah, after what I said yesterday, people are asking, why isn't Australia already rationing fuel? Listen, if you have a cars and you do a lot of traveling, and I mean, you might want to stockpile some petrol if you can, okay? If you use some diesel, that's probably better. It's easier to keep, than the gasoline, which will go flat. But don't forget, you can always switch over to some kind of a cooking oil type of fuel if you have to. Australia once survived a massive drought. Cattle and everything else, that the only really thing people had were hemp seeds and hemp plants. Good old marijuana saved Australia a long time ago. So yeah, pay attention and be aware, I guess is what I would say. James Comey subpoenaed for an alleged grand conspiracy against Donald Trump. No shit. Really? I would have never ever known or heard about something along those lines. God bless America. As part of a wide-ranging case against Obama-Biden era officials who helped frame Donald Trump as a Russian asset in a grand conspiracy. No shit, really. Anyway, the subpoena issued last week by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida focuses on Comey's role in the preparation of the January 17th intelligence community assessment that concluded Russia sought to influence the election in favor of Trump and against Hillary Clinton. The probe, which allies have described as examining a grand conspiracy against Trump, that's how I describe it, has issued more than 130 subpoenas in total, according to Axios. The investigation is being overseen by a grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, under a U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee who previously presided over the classified documents case against Trump that was dismissed in 2024. Then special counsel, what was his name? Jack Smith. Just another one of these deep state hit people that they circle and they cycle around. They gave him a cushy job over there in the International Hague or whatever the fuck it was, when he should be in prison for the stuff he did with Lois Lerner. That Lois Lerner, I believe, it's my belief, that if the Lois Lerner Tea Party testimony, her sealed testimony, I believe that if that was unsealed, there would be controvertible evidence that she perjured herself on the stand because of what how she shielded other people that she said she didn't meet with, but later records proved that she did. Okay, I just think that there is I think that has legs for some reason. I don't know why. But, these things, remember, the government protects itself. Just as, Christopher Wray protected the FBI, protected James Comey, protected pedo Joe Biden, the CIA asset. So, yeah. It's crazy as it might seem. Okay? Another legal news. Hey, Flippy, hope you're doing well. In other legal news, how should I say it? In other legal news. Oh God, I don't even have my bookmarks open. Can you believe that? I got to open up my bookmarks. Imagine that. I didn't even do that before Dory. I started 5 minutes early just to play a song. I'm going to be putting these songs that I've created. I need to get doing it more exponential, but I had Blue Doom up on Spotify for sale. As crazy it might seem. Where are we at here? Yes. Well, anyway, in a comical trial. Okay. a singer named Afro Man. That's right, a singer named Afro Man was accused of writing a song about police that had served a warrant on him. Okay, and he trolled the police, the cops in Ohio. Okay, so they sued him for defamation, I guess hurting their feelings. Okay. The 51-year-old rapper eviscerated Adams County Deputy Sheriff Lisa Phillips with the expletive-laden music clip posted on Instagram in late Tuesday, just hours after she tearfully testified against him in court. Yes, where were these tears when you were standing in my yard with the loaded AR-15? Ready to Swiss cheese me, the rapper said in the caption. Of course, Afro Man I think has only one song that is noteworthy, and that would be Because I Got High. Okay? So yeah. The title linked is called Lemon Pound Cake. Was inspired by one of the officers apparently glanced down at the dessert inside the kitchen during the raid. So he made he ridiculed, he lambasted the lamb shit out of them, okay? And they weren't happy because they felt hurt. She should have asked, do I get a pound cake or not? A lemon pound cake? Come on, Afro Man. I need one because I got high. Oh, yeah, meanwhile, Afro Man had put out a song, a Hunter Biden spoof song, Because I Got High. That's right, Hunter got high. Yeah, but forgot all about his laptop. Bunch of fools. Fools, I'm telling you. Just like Trump eyeing boots on the ground along the Hormuz Strait. He thinks he can make a corridor. You can tell Trump's generals are dumb fucks, and really haven't fought a real guerrilla war. I'm just saying, okay? A U.S. F-35 was damaged by Iranian gunfire. No word on if it was a low-flying aircraft making a precision strike or some, you would think that those things would be, have such a radar profile of a bird. Okay, I guess is how it looks like. But anyway. CBS News finally doing some investigative journalism. Uncovered massive Medicare fraud in LA County. Days after, what's his name was there. CBS found all these companies that were raking in big bucks. And they were empty offices. They were empty facilities. The phones were off. It was hilarious. Billing Medicare an average of $29,000 per patient without delivering the care to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a stretch in Los Angeles where 500 registered hospice companies are within 3 miles of each other, and 89 in a single building. But when we found what they found, they didn't find anybody working. It was all closed. It's all a sham. Yeah. The population of residents 65 and over in California is estimated to be 6.3 million. Florida is 4.9 million. So the number of hospice companies in LA County are 6 times the national average in relative to the elderly population. Well, no shit, Sherlock. And you know what happened to all of their clients? All of their clients just died. That's what hospice is supposed to be all about. People with 6 months or less to live. I know one woman that was on hospice for 6 years, and she died of something else, and not what hospice, the spot on her lung that was cancer. The fucking thing never grew in 6 years, and they still had her on hospice for it. It's just, it boggles the mind. It does. It boggles the mind how these people get away with this these fraudulent crimes. Okay. So yeah. Well, it's an upgrade. Yes, that was an upgrade. Now a U.S. citizen and not a Mexican citizen is in charge of the CNG cartel, JG cartel. Okay. With El Mencho out buried in the golden coffin earlier in March, serrated by popular ballots and surrounded by carloads of floral displays, then his California-born stepson began ascending to the throne. So the Jalisco New Generation cartel is now under his firm control. 41-year-old Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez marks the formal crowning of the Valencia family dynasty from western Mexico to southern California. Well, imagine that. The risks, anyway, U.S. intelligence may now face legal hurdles targeting and collecting personal data because of his birthplace. Remember, the drug cartel leaders and a million Chinese, literally their mamas come in here, pop them out on American soil, and they get, citizenship. I don't believe that it should be legal, but that's essentially, what the law, how some of the law is being read, okay? It is idiocracy. It is stupidity, but that's the overreach of a liberalized Supreme Court. That's what I would call it, and the the intentional misreading of, I believe it's the 14th Amendment. Okay, so listen, if people are not how should I say it? If they aren't already living here and they're established, see, and that's the problem that is going on right now. People have lived here long enough, and maybe they should be made legal because of that, but we can't do it. We've already done, their mom and daddies are illegals, and their kids are, it's crazy. Drones over MacDill Air Force Base. That's right. If you're not aware, there was a lockdown and a security foo-paw, I guess. Everybody's jump up and down and screaming about drones over a base where, War Cabinet Rubio, where Marco Rubio, the next wannabe emperor of Cuba, he would rather be emperor of Cuba than be Secretary of State in the USA. That's what I would tell you right now, okay? Given a choice, the new leader of Cuba He'd be like the new Juan Chavez. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Juan Chavez and all of the bagging of all of his statues everywhere now. I guess it's kind of like Bill and Hillary Clinton. I don't know. But anyway, drones over MacDill Air Force Base. And at the same time that Pete Hegseth, War Department leader and head, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, were both the same place. And according to 3 people briefed on the situation, they had drones flying in. And it was a security concern, okay? Listen, it's crazy, I guess is what I would say, all right? But anyway, they raised the protection level to Charlie. A designation means commander has intelligence indicating an attack or danger if possible of one. Yeah. I don't know about that. But the thing is, what I do know is that if you just have one of these store-bought drones and a jetliner or a Air Force jet is taken off of the runway, you only have to fly it up there and fly it so it gets sucked in by the engine. I mean, if that's not going to cause like a bird strike shit, I don't know what will, okay? That's all I'm trying to point out, all right? We, just like around the Gulf, okay, with all of the major oil infrastructure and refinery facilities, these people are bare ass open, naked, soft targets completely around. So if they're going to ally with the U.S., of course Iran is going to hit them. That's all I'm pointing out there, okay? So anyway, U.S. citizen runs. Okay, we covered that one. Damn. Senate again rejects efforts to restrict Trump's Iran war powers. I guess the U.S. Senate had voted again. Mitch McConnell brought it up again. I mean, really, Mitch? Hey, it's not me, it's Mitch McConnell. Okay? I mean, these guys get paid to block the president, okay? Mitch McConnell will get healthy checks from big business to literally keep the status quo from shifting any more towards Donald Trump's zone and keep it in the monopoly zone where Democrats and Republicans, treat the people as a inconvenient thing that they have to deal with every few years, every 4 years, and every 6 years. That these elitists in America understand they don't change. I mean, and not much to say for the man. How do you say this? How do you say this without sounding more so stupid? Okay, I'm sorry. It's going to come out. Okay. Chelsea Clinton, okay? I mean, Chelsea Clinton, whose daddy probably tied a piece of meat around her neck to get the dog to play with her. She's so ugly, okay? Now, maybe she went from an ugly duckling to whatever, I don't know. Or maybe it's all the plastic surgery. I mean, her and the, they can afford it. After all, they're living in Jeffrey Epstein's building. She has been voted the most beautiful first daughter Yeah. Not one of Trump's girls, but Chelsea Clinton. I mean, really. I mean, Webster Hubbs, you have to hand Webster Hubble, a big round of applause. That Webster Hubble is, really Chelsea's father. It doesn't look like Bill. Man, I'm telling you, put those pictures up side by side. We know whose egg, we know whose egg was the fastest swimmer. Wasn't Bill's. Now we have a few minutes left. I'm going to show this. I'm hesitant on showing this. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I hesitate on this next clip. Okay, here's a person that is said to have watched and seen the Hillary Clinton frazzle dip video. Okay. Now remember, these demon and devil worshippers, they have rituals that they do. Okay. Some of them are wholly bizarre, like the cremation of care ceremony, where you throw all your cares, you throw them on Baal's doorstep, and then you burn them up, and give them over to Satan. I guess I don't know. I don't really want to know. Okay, I really don't. I know one person that described what she saw to me. In Georgia many decades ago, where she witnessed a child sacrifice from the Ravenwood devil cult down there, House of Ravenwood. Man, man, that's bizarre stuff. But here's truth that nobody really wants to talk about. And, how can we have our leadership literally ignoring this stuff?
I would not advise you to have a look at it. She and her spokeswoman, they put a 5-year-old girl naked on a table, bind it, and then with a scalpel they start to remove the face. And you hear this child screaming, and they take off the face, and Hillary Clinton puts it on her face and goes to the child. You see, the child is all flesh, and then the eyes grow, and this child sees her own face on the face of Clinton. I will never forget that image, and I never the scream. That's how evil these people are.
They are.
Somebody says, I know
that sounds bizarre. I know people may not believe it. I know there are a lot of people that do not believe that these Satan worshiping motherfuckers are, are around everywhere. You don't unless you have the courage to look and think outside the little box that they have painted for you, that they allow you to think in. Okay, so yeah, Southern California heat wave has prompted warnings of shit levels in along the coast. Normally, the cold water in the cooler Pacific waters neutralizes a lot of the shit coming from Mexico. I'll just say it straight out. All right, and that literally turns Southern California beaches into open sewage markets, okay? They may be unsafe due to elevated bacterial levels. Oh, good old fecal coliform bacteria. Yeah, I mean, talk about a shit stain on the region, huh? Let's see, the Culver Boulevard storm drain from Dockweiler State Beach. The public restrooms at Lee Corilla State Beach in Malibu, Walnut Creek, and Paradise Cove. Wilshire Boulevard storm drain. Even the storm drains are, well, shitty. Okay? I mean, that's bad. The entire swim area at the Mother's Beach in Marina Del Rey closed down because of, well, shoe poop. In this area, when you get a beach closure at like a lake, it's because the Canadian geese have, well, come in and taken over and shitstormed it, okay? But not California. This stuff is good old Mexican, feces. Yeah, it's El Fiso. Anyway, the group reviewed the beaches on the coast of the Great Lakes and found that 84% of Gulf Coast beaches exceed the standard at least once. When they say at least once, is that like a year? Or is this like in the history of the beach? Because, yeah, it's crazy, okay? It is. It's idiocracy. And we have no limit to it, okay? When was this? Back in December, huh? That's not a current news headline. But let's see what else we got going on here. I know there's some stuff breaking that Donald Trump is just finding out that Denmark and the European Union deployed troops and infantry from Denmark to Greenland. They actually had planned to blow up Greenland's runways if the U.S. invaded. Yeah, that would mean they had to pre-position the explosives and mine the runway beforehand, right? I'm just saying, the U.S. could still invade. Greenland is not gone away. It's only a sleeping thing. And if the U.S. gets Cuba, I can guarantee you Donald Trump will think he just has the right to take Greenland at this point. Because, look, it's the manifest destiny, just like, Greater Israel. We have Greater America. We have the North American Union we have to consider, man. If we can get rid of these pesky communist drug dealers led by a Jew. God, once you put it like that, man, that's kind of worrisome, isn't it? Communist Jewish, a communist Jew leading a nation of literally drug dealers and human traffickers. It could be a cynic, maybe, or something. Maybe I'm just, barking up the wrong tree, okay? But really, Denmark planned to withstand a U.S. invasion. I don't know for how long. We really don't need airstrips, right? We got helicopters. Oh, man, it's hilarious. Anyway, but don't forget, the U.S. is still, at war. Venezuela is rebuilding and reestablishing itself. So, yeah. Crazy. We're getting ready to hit a break here on Revolution Radio. Joe Biden pardons, man, are still something that is questions that want to be raised. And Joe Rogan had Rand Paul on, and I'm not so hot about Rand Paul. I'm sorry. I just think he's turned to government, I guess is what I would describe it as.
He was granted this very bizarre pardon where he got a pardon that goes back to 2014 for crimes he was never accused of, never convicted. I mean, it's got to be one of the first times that anybody's ever been pardoned.
Yeah, and I think it should be challenged. And so we have, under the Biden administration, I sent criminal referrals for Anthony Fauci to Merrick Garland twice, and I sent them evidence that he had lied to Congress, which was a felony. They just ignored me. I've been working with Bobby Kennedy, and he's been very helpful on this. I have a good relationship with him. He's given us a lot of information, and we've looked at the communications. And in Anthony Fauci's communications, we now have evidence that he was telling people like Francis Collins, read this and destroy it. Well, you can't do that. The executive branch, when they communicate, they're required to keep their communications, and they're required to do it on government devices. So we have this evidence, and I've summarized it again in a criminal referral to Trump's attorney general, and I still haven't gotten action. But there's a couple reasons we should do it. One, he shouldn't get away with lying. He shouldn't get away with destroying records. But two, we should check the pardon. Is it an auto pen pardon valid? And is a pardon a retrospective pardon back 10 years that doesn't mention a crime? Can you give people a pardon for everything they did in a 10-year period? I can't imagine.
Good
question. I think the court might narrow that. But it doesn't happen unless the Trump Justice Department will do something. And I've been sending him referrals, and I can't get him to do anything. I can't guarantee that.
Pam Bondi hasn't done jack shit. All right, that's just the truth of what's been going down. Pam Bondi is MIA. She's missing in action. She's an ineffectual dumb fuck, just as Jeffrey Sessions turned out to be. Okay. Where all of them, and I think all of these people get in, and I don't know if they and all their families and everybody just get blackmailed or threatened. But it is as if they are brainwashed in a short time into this government groupthink thing. And it's not good. It's not good for anybody. The Super Micro co-founder. That's right, Super Micro. The co-founder was arrested in an alleged $2.5 billion deal to smuggle chips into China. Of course, there are $2.5 billion worth of NVIDIA chips. I guess that we're going to be bought by Super Micro. We're going to be shunted into China. Imagine that. Doesn't surprise me. Arizona has issued some warnings because of rattlesnakes and scorpions and lots of heat. Okay. March is like June right now in Arizona. Local authorities have asked everybody to be aware that, it's extremely dry, extremely hot, and that the critters that come out in the summer, that you don't expect out right now in this early, in this early part of the year, they are out in force. Now, I would also warn people in those areas because of the plague. Expect an outbreak of the plague early. Yeah, the bubonic plague. Now, if you're not aware, every year we have outbreaks in the Southwest United States, because the fleas that carry that disease are on ground squirrels. And sometimes those ground squirrels, will get in near contact with what? With dogs. Dogs will transfer, humans will get bit, dogs will get bit, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, be aware, okay? And if you like rolling around with gophers, you should also be aware. But I'm just saying, right now the summer is advanced. This in the Southwest United States, it's super hot. Okay, exactly. All the weather phenomena that's driving all that. I'm not sure. I'm not. I really don't care. Okay, I'm not there, but a lot of people are there. So be aware. All right. We had 6 inches of snow in West Virginia, Southwest Virginia the other day. Unexpectedly, boom. But get ready, I guess is what I'm trying to say, okay? Is get ready and be aware of what is all going down, okay? I'm trying to kind of keep a side eye out here on the break, so I don't talk. So I turned my mic back on. I have a microphone right here that I use for Rev Radio, and all the other streams go through the Rumble. But anyway, so yeah, come on down, join us, man. Revolution.radio. If you want to start your own show, come on down. We'll get you hooked up. We got time. We can hit you with the times, get you a time slot. We'll help you get started, and then you and your friends and you can talk about all the stuff that pisses you off. Everybody should have a voice, and too many people in this world have no voice. Welcome back, Rev Radio. God bless you guys, man. Come on down and join us here at revolution.radio, of course, rumble.com, YouTube, and even Facebook if you choose, locals.com. So, and remember that all the things that you do, you may not think it's a big deal. But I'll tell you right now, you change the world. Everything I do, everything that you do, everything that the dumbass banksters do, everything that our retarded government, does, it's crazy. Oh, yeah, here it comes the crash. Crash, kaboom! Yeah. Saudi Arabia warns of $180 a barrel oil. Entire countries may run out of petrol. People urged to work from home. In fact, there are some saying, it's Armageddon! It's Armageddon! Yeah, let's hear it for Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. Yay! All right. Yeah, we always knew that Gog and Magog would bring. It's the dawn. It's not the dawn like a new arising. It's the dawn. U.S. and Israeli rift widens over potential end game in Iran. Trump mulls a risky Kurj Island takeover to force the strait open. That is so fucking stupid, okay? I mean, I don't know how many how many pieces of artillery that Iran has and where they're at. But, imagine they could bring them in and, and just shoot up their own island. I mean, it would be a victory if they burn up Kurj Island and burn up a battalion of Marines at the same time. Donald Trump and his fucking war planners should be fucking hung if that's the case. But this is such a stupid strategic moves that Donald Trump has made. And, you know, every one of them is these are the motherfuckers that are fighting the last war. They're fighting the war in Iraq and in Kuwait. They're not thinking strategically of a long-term asymmetrical war that you have 1,000-mile long route that is vulnerable in the open seas from anywhere along the shoreline. I'm just saying that the tactical geniuses are, you know, they aren't, okay? As I said earlier, they aren't. All these guys are doing, they're not even wargaming it themselves. They're having computers wargame it and then, you know, look at the results. And there's anything that I know and understand about warfare, while general strategy may be big and broad and whatever, the really shit is the people on the ground. Is your ground war. And we can't have a ground war, or should not have a ground war in Iran. And without that, you can't secure the strait. That's just truth, okay? USA says Cuba is prohibited from taking Russian oil. Okay, here's the other. Remember, I talked about this last week or a week or so ago. On April the 5th is the due date. The due date with not one but two Russian tankers, one with natural gas and one with oil. They are on their way to Cuba right now. April the 5th is the date they are scheduled or due to dock in Cuba. So remember what I said, that, listen, you cannot have a quote-unquote embargo and people run it at will. Okay, it doesn't matter what country it is. And to have an oil embargo to force an economic collapse, of Cuba is, well, I don't know if it's within the bounds of human, what would you call that? With that, it's bordering genocide, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the U.S. says you can't take that oil. The Treasury Department made it clear that Cuba is not allowed to take delivery of Russia crude. The warning comes at a time when two tankers carrying Russian oil and gas are thought to be on the way to Havana. Yeah. The U.S. Treasury Department said Cuba won't be allowed to take delivery. What are they going to do? Are they going to literally bomb and seize Russian ships? I mean, really. If Russia had half a brain, they already have dozens and dozens of Russian Marines on those ships to repel attackers. Okay? And somewhere along the line, I cannot believe that the Russians don't have a submarine shadowing, these tankers. And the next step, and I'm telling you, these next steps, where Russia will start to run convoys of supplies to Cuba. And the question is then, will the United States effectively attack those convoys? Not without essentially declaring war on Russia. It is an absolute fucking joke that the United States says the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control added Cuba to the list of countries that would be blocked from transactions involving the sale, delivery, and offloading of crude petroleum products, oh, I'm sorry, doggy, that originate from Russia. Yeah, you know, these are, I'm sorry, but these are, to me, these are acts of war against Cuba and against Russia, okay? Now, you may not call them that, and they may be worded differently, but there's no, when you're stopping and pirating ships on the open seas, you are asking to get the fucking shit blown out of you. That's what I would tell the U.S. Navy. This is what I would tell the U.S., okay? It is crazy. And there will be, what will happen, should the U.S. interfere, and exactly how that's going to work out, I don't know. But I do believe that next time, if they literally take this oil and they take this gas from Russia, Russia will send a military escorted fleet of humanitarian relief ships. And what will happen then? Mexican President Gloria Sheinbaum will provide them with not just port access, but she will supply them with oil and supplies to send to Cuba. I don't think Donald Trump and his team of peoples understand exactly what they are uncorking here, okay? Because Russia will not lose Iran and Cuba while essentially being tied down in a NATO war in Ukraine. And that's what we have today, okay? We have a U.S. NATO war in Ukraine, using Ukraine as a Ponzi, as a mailed fist to fight Russia, okay? And to keep their distance and say it's not us, it's those Ukrainians. But as we know from most of the leadership in Europe, they're ready to go heads on to full-blown war with Russia. It is crazy, okay? Cuba partially restored power and vows unyielding resistance to the U.S. oil blockade, okay? These are acts of war, whether you like it or not, okay? So, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I know it's not going to end well. And what I would say is this could be one way of ending the U.S. dollar, crashing the complete financial system as oil goes, oil will cause the extinction, if that makes any sense, of entire sectors of financial assets and banking assets. They will be blown up and sucked dry just by the oil, by what's going on in the oil markets. Okay, somewhere along the line, Donald Trump will have to declare a moratorium on price. Okay. Now, also, the United States has no limits and no restrictions on the exportation of American oil and gas. All the fracking oil and gas were supposed to stay in the United States, and they changed that because that amount of energy put on the international markets drove prices down. And if you really want to know, that's what broke the back of the energy cartel. and they had to keep their prices low and managed to get below the cost of fracking. But once stuff gets up to, once the price of oil gets up to a certain place, even all these dead ass wells in Texas will be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It seemed bizarre, but you know, a few years ago, people were begging to take these wells off their hands. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them shut down. And you know, when oil gets up to where it is going to be, all those wells will all of a sudden start magically pumping again. You know, because a little makes a lot of money. Well, anyway. Donald Trump getting his image on a coin. Who cares? Yeah, if that's all he's worried about, well, yeah. Crazy. Where are we at here? Yeah, $180 oil. Man, I hope not. I already don't want to go anywhere. I'm glad I backed out of that house deal then, I guess. Saudi Arabia sees spike to $180 if oil shock persists past April. Well, let's see. That's 40 days and 40 nights, ladies and gentlemen, for the energy or the oil seas to calm down. Okay? So there is a reliable, stable energy supplies. Nah, I'm sorry. We're fucked. What I would tell people is to start looking for alternative ways. I think I'm going to have to start and build my still. I have to talk to some of the old timers and build myself a big ass still. That's right, because then I can make some something to power stuff with. Probably have to thin it out with used oil or something, but yeah. Anyway, be prepared, I guess, is what I would say. And if you drive for a living, God, man, I don't know what you're going to do. But remember, you know, you can use vegetable oil. You can use other types of oil and diesel and stuff like that. So what I would say is to be aware and get ready. Okay, get ready. Oh, now the golden era, the middle class suburbanites have joined the drug dealers, or not the drug dealers, the druggies themselves, the whores and the pimps and everybody else giving blood and plasma at $800 a month. Okay, that's what it is around here. Now, depending on your blood type, you may get more. Lucky you. But that's where we come to. That's where people have come. People have ended up where donating their blood and plasma has become a viable option in these times of financial uncertainty and desperation for a lot of people. I can't imagine all the people that had already hit and sucked down on their 401k and all that other stuff, you know. Man, I bet you they're gonna have to hit it again and again and again and again. Yeah, it's not gonna be a good thing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Where are we at here, man? Hormuz showdown begins. U.S. planes Apache launch sea lane offensive as Trump eyes the Karj Island takeover. Yeah, with the Marines en route. Now, Karj Island is within easy artillery strike from the mainland. Okay. Yeah, as I said before, you know, this is part of Donald Trump's ego and part of the Mossad plan, all right? I'm just saying that, these, if you believe that all of this battle plan and all this stuff in regarding to Iran, look, this is a whole battle that was led and formulated and calculated by Israel. The United States didn't do jack shit, all right? And it's mostly because, well, Israel supposedly knows their enemy. Well, what people don't know and don't want to say, and they're afraid to say it because then they'll end up like Scott Bennett. God bless his soul. He was a courageous Army captain when he went to his superiors and said there is a Mossad spy here in CENTCOM. Yeah. If you want to know why Scott Bennett, who wrote a book called Shell Games about the U.S. Intelligence failures and the basically supplying our enemies as we fight them. Scott Bennett was run out of the Army. He was in intel operations and stuff, and he had fingered, or he had pointed out and had gone to the chain of command and said that Doug Zackheim was an Israeli agent. That's why my friend Scott Bennett got persecuted. Now, I didn't know Scott then. And I didn't know Scott till later when he was doing his radio show and then his other shows. But yeah, Scott was a true American hero. And the Obama administration did to him what they do to all people that literally blow the whistle on this CIA, deep state, Mossad, New World Order governance that we have in America today. Okay? Sad state of affairs. CBS set to lay off 15% of their staff as Barry Weiss looks to reshape the newsroom. Oh, God bless her. But you can't. You can polish a turd up so much. But you know what? It's still a turd. Okay? If you really want to know the truth, if you really want to know about big time news, it can't be reformed. It has to be allowed to die, and die horribly. And the journalists that push this propaganda all end up working for like the National Enquirer or the Sun or some shit like that. Some rag that is, well, lots stupid, okay? Yeah. Let's see. We got down to those news stories. I guess we need to shift a gear here. Come on, where are you at? There you are. Let's see what happened. Well, anyway, let's see. Trump met with the Japanese Prime Minister. And they were talking about Iran, and Trump walked the Japanese Prime Minister around and showed him all the wall pictures of all the presidents, and then proudly showed off, the Joe Biden auto pen presidency. Listen, that's easier than saying the CIA owned and operated a fucking public figure named Joe Biden for 4 years and as president of the United States, and the years as vice president. Okay? I think that's what we really have to look at, and we have to understand here. And that the CIA and all those involved need to be, well, hung. They need to be strung from their fucking necks, strung up. All these seditious traitors that in America, it's crazy. People are asking, can algorithms inherit human bias? I swear, people must just be wholly fucking retarded today, okay? Wholly fucking retarded. Of course. There's a bigger danger, though, with the algorithm. There is a bigger danger. It exposes the bias that exists right now. And it levels the playing field. Why do you think? Why do you think when a lot of these AI and a lot of these tools that are used to find racism and language and all this stuff, why do you think it is that they flag a lot of, Democrat accounts? I don't want to say Democrat. Accounts that are run with black people. Or people that don't give a shit about their speech, like me. Okay, I mean, that's some of the stuff I said on the internet. Jesus. God, in the past, I mean, they've probably got a file on me, the size of my house here. But yeah, it's sheer bananas, okay? Now, they're concerned about financial markets and how algorithms can have an inherent human bias. I'm not thinking of algorithms. I'm thinking of AI in general. AI is basically an algorithm that is supposed to think for itself, and maybe that's the way it should be, but it's not. That AI asks itself an entire series of validating questions before it comes up with this, this answer. Instead of plucking stuff, keyword stuff and stuff like that. But we don't have that. But that's how we think. That's how humans think in an analytical basis. We work through all those things so fast, that and we're so used to doing it. This is why I say AI and algorithms are inherently biased. Okay. Because most of the time they're shallow. They are meant to essentially do one thing. Whether they do it good or bad or whatever, it doesn't matter. The depth of the things that they do and the questions that they ask to get, it's like going through a telephone, one of those telephone answering systems that says, do you want this? It's like calling the VA hospital, man. You got to listen to 6 different messages to get to figure out where you're supposed to be, to go to another extension. We have to understand that unless AI has this analytical process that continually reevaluates even the answers that it gave yesterday, it cannot be inherently intelligent or smart or anything else, okay? It will be an algorithm that just repeats. It just regurgitates, just like it does today on the internet. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess. Algorithms will expose the bias of Democrats. Algorithms can expose it. They can also corrupt it. And, man, there's so many things that are flying by the side today, you know. Questions of people have asked straight out the question today: should transgenderism be declared a mental illness? Man, I guess I already thought it was. See where I've been? I mean, see the world I live in. But I mean, I think there are clear and compelling things that make transgenderism mental illness. Okay, but that's just me. All right. Man, I wonder what the silver did. Silver. You know, with silver is well, silver was up, then it was down. It's back up to $72, or is it down to $72? Down 10% over 1 week, $8.52 in the last week. They're still pushing it down. It looks like the bid is pushed down. It did plummet down to $66.76 yesterday. Yeah, March 19th at 8:02 p.m. So yeah, silver is fluctuating. Oil prices, man, I am telling you, are the key factor to watch right now, I guess. Okay. So yeah. And this is, you know, this is another reason why we have such a failed failed search engines today. Okay. Maybe I can find a place. Oilprice.com. There we go. It's West Texas crudes at 95. Brent C crudes at 107. Merban crudes at 135. Wow. Natural gas is down. 3.085 ounces per cubic meter yard, whatever that is. But anyway, yeah, gasoline now is regular gasoline's at 3.15 wholesale. Heating oil is up a little bit. But anyway, what we're seeing is where's the oil? We're seeing spikes up, you know, up above 100, 110. It's a lot of that is gonna, if Trump puts boots on the ground on Carr's Island, yeah, I can see it going up another $50 a barrel, easy. I mean, I'm just saying easy. Now the question is, will we get into this stretch again, where businesses will allow individuals to work at home, and individuals that cannot work at home? Well, what about families that people that school districts, municipalities, the police, the fire, and everybody else? Listen, if gasoline prices go through the fucking roof, these guys, they aren't going to have a budget to fix any of it. There's not going to be any way there's to have a sustainable economy with that. So yeah. So yeah. The Iranian Republican Guard contradicts Netanyahu, says we have continued missile production even in wartime. Gee, imagine that, okay? So yeah. Energy war ongoing. Major sites damaged across the region. As I said, the Hafai refinery hit. The Qatar LNG output cut 17%. Kuwait facilities are ablaze. Karj Island escalation looms. Trump weighing seizure of Karj Island to reopen the Hormuz Straits. Thousands of Marines, of course, from the 3rd Marine Division out of I think they're in, are they out of Okinawa? Maybe. Yeah, they were on float, and they do a Westpac float, and they always have a battalion of Marines with them. They're on the way. So yeah. On day 21 of the war, Iran shows no signs of saying Uncle Donnie, Uncle Donnie. Iran's RG's the Iranian Republican Guard spokesman Ali Mohammed Nayani was reportedly killed in an Israeli airstrike overnight. Another high-level hit in the decapitation campaign grinds on, as anybody who has any kind of a popular name in the government in Iran or rises to take control is immediately whack-a-moled by the U.S. or Israel. Our massive missile industry deserves a perfect score, and there's no connection in this regard, even under wartime conditions. We continue missile production. I wouldn't surprise if they still continue making missiles. Now, I'll be surprised if this ship that we haven't heard anything about it since it left China, was supposedly had propellant and other chemicals on it. I don't know if, will or not or whatever. Okay. I'm just saying. Elsewhere, Bahrain says it faced over 140 missiles, 240 drones since the war began. Well, imagine that. France said, how dare you attack all them other countries that stand by and watch the U.S. blow you up and cheer it on. Yeah. Anyway, signs the U.S. plans to take Karj Island, and the real escalation risk surrounds the Washington's next move as the Trump administration actively weighing Karj Island's seizure. Iran's key oil export hub is a desperate effort to force the Hormuz Strait back open. And this is just a death trap, okay? I'm sorry. It looks like, I don't want to say it looked like Iwo Jima, but there's not a whole lot of fucking hiding places in there, okay? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Our response to Israel's attack on our infrastructure employed a fraction of our power, the Iranian foreign minister said. The only reason for restraint was requested the request for a de-escalation. Look, if you guys don't understand that you have to fight the Zionists to death, okay, I'm sorry. You have misunderstood reality, okay? Yeah. Anyway, the one guy. The one Khomeini who made no public appearances since chosen to succeed his father, said in a written statement, security must be denied to all Iran's enemies. Yeah. And, listen, Iran can win by just saying no and hunkering down and shooting missiles here and there, keeping the Hormuz Strait bottled up. Every day that goes by are literally hundreds of billions of dollars that are being destroyed. I mean, dollars. Why? Because remember, like every Ponzi scheme, the U.S. dollar must continue to churn and must continue to burn. If it's not collecting and it's not churning all of the oil revenue, the Ponzi scheme that the U.S. dollar really is gets exposed in a naked short. Faster than you can say, "Oh my God, Martha, I didn't want to see that." Yeah, anyway. God, man. Do you ever think about that part of this? Have you ever considered that this is all part of the plan, that we have to destroy the U.S. dollar, because without destroying the U.S. dollar, we cannot move over to a central bank digital currency. And even though Trump has set up all of the mechanisms, they have set up all the banks and said, "Yeah, man. Yeah, Mr. Bankster in America, you can bail in your person to stablecoin involuntarily at the drop of a hat whenever you choose." So I would warn everybody to be aware about the price of oil, and even if there is a workaround and the U.S. gets denied oil monies, oil revenue, oil trading, everything that is happening is damaging the dollar as a world reserve currency. So I would caution everybody to be aware of what is going on right now. Okay, I guess that's the whole crux of the whole thing. Okay, is be aware and get ready, because it's a coming. Okay, it's a coming. Well, anyway, you're already trained by algorithms. You're already brainwashed by social media. Remember, the brainwashing from the news cycles was expanded and intertwined with the internet. Now the boob tubes on TV are essentially basically it's cable and internet. And they're losing their ass. Period. End of story. What else we got going on here? Dun 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 dun. Dozens of boys and young men dying in South African circumcision rites. Oh, gee. Yeah, that's right. Is that the same shit that was going on in another part of Africa? Was that Guyana? Or, not the United Arab Emirates, Uganda, or someplace in deep Central Africa, where they were literally, circumcising men with machetes. And they wondered why, so many people were dying of infection. Jesus Christ. I mean, God bless people. Circumcision by jagged metal instruments never work out well. You're going to have to go the Jewish route. You're just going to have to get a priest to bite that circumcision off. Bite circumcision, yeah. Yeah, I mean, one's as bizarre as the other, isn't it? I'm just saying. I mean, people should be ridiculed for these fucking types of behaviors, okay? That's all I'm trying to say, okay? Jesus, you know these Dr. Mangalas are never going to stop, right? Now they want to use mosquitoes. That's right. Remember, we have Lyme disease from Lyme Bridge, Connecticut, where it was first found. Right across the bay from Plum Island, where a former Nazi scientist was using ticks to spread diseases that they created in the bioweapons labs. So if you really want to know what Lyme disease is, it's a fucking bioweapon that escaped from Plum Island. Don't trust me. Do your own fucking research. God, people in America. You want to people be they just want to be idiots. They want everybody to tell them what to think and how to think. And the problem is, when people take on the journey of finding the truth themselves, they are black and blue pilled. Yeah. They have red pilled and blue pilled and it's black pilled them. That's why I call it red, blue, black pilled. That's about where I'm at right now. And frankly, I just want to I just want to stand there with a fucking noose and say, what's wrong with this picture with these motherfuckers? Seems not to be a crazy thing that people say today. Scientists want to use mosquitoes as a vaccination tool to immunize bats against rabies. Isn't that special? Insects are being designed to spread vaccines instead of disease. Well, isn't that just perfectly logical? We can use one toxin, we can use another toxin. Just depends on the toxic outcomes, right? Yeah. Anyway, the Napa virus within the saliva of bats is transferred when the bats eat insects or insects feed on the bats. Yeah, imagine that. Anyway. So, hey, have they tried curing COVID in the bats in China? What about the pangolins? I say that sarcastically. Yeah, all those pangolins and bats that mix together in interbreeding that caused, a COVID. Well, according to Dr. Fauci and his experts, man, they got their shit out of a fucking bubblegum machine. Dr. Fauci still running rampant, running free, and running wild. Why Dr. Fauci? Why Dr. Francis Collins? Why the head of fucking Pfizer? Why all these fucking cocksucking lying sons of bitches are not behind bars? I don't know. I will just say it is another complete failure of the Donald Trump administration, okay? Let's not forget that we have another piece of Murphy's Law. That's right, Murphy's Law. Oh, God, Jonathan Turley was busy the other day. Anyway, Jonathan Turley writes, a Boston judge returns in vengeance, halting Kennedy's vaccine efforts. Basically, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That adage called Murphy's Law. Keep in mind this week the latest injunction by Judge Brian Murphy from Boston. Murphy's previously drew national criticism for his efforts to enjoin Trump's immigration policies that resulted in not one but two rebukes from the U.S. Supreme Court. He's back. That's right. He effectively halted the meeting of Kennedy's new advisory committee on immunization practices. That's right. Murphy said that Kennedy had made arbitrary and capricious decisions in changing vaccine policies and changing the committee membership. Gee, he changed the committee membership because, well, it was full of bought-out prostitutes from the fucking pharmaceutical industry. Murphy basically lambasted Kennedy for attacking good science and scientific measures. His criticism laden with assumptions about the correct answers to questions governing vaccines. Once again, a fucking retarded judge is putting himself in there and acting as if he is, you know, an immunologist, if he has all this high fucking credential and all this high fucking learning about vaccines and medicine and all this stuff, but we're talking about a judge, okay? One of the people that the rejection of individual advisors show how the court dismisses countervailing credentials and belittles advisors selected by the secretary, Jonathan Turley says. Take Dr. Raymond Pollock as a surgeon, transplant immunobiologist, a transplant specialist with more than 120 peer-reviewed works. Served as principal investigators at the National Institutes of Health, transplant biology grants, and all this other stuff. And the judge says, oh, this guy, he can't do it. There's another doctor, Dr. Recep Levy, professor of operations management at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Sloan School of Management. Gee, anyway, so, this is another judge putting his head up his ass and literally ignoring the law and ignoring the qualifications of the people that he has put on there. It's absolute fraud. Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, James Comey, Jonathan Turley writes, James Comey goes full Beyonce. Did the former director reveal a pop secret? Anyway, Public's Comey recently in a recent account by former director James Comey on how he sang Beyonce's Sandcastles to the FBI officials in a classified briefing. If true, the story shows another instance where Comey appears to have disregarded security protocols. I mean, let's be honest. If you had a classified briefing and somebody still had a musical exception for sharing code names in classified karaoke. Is that karaoke classified? Anyway, James Comey is, how should we say it, is trying to dig himself out of a hole. And he won't be able to, okay? If the Justice Department and the former and the current head of the FBI, if they don't indict Christopher Wray right alongside of James Comey, then it's both a complete fucking failure. Okay, that's what I would say. Anyway, Turley says, in fairness to the agents, they were likely unaware of Comey's use breaches undercover hidden intelligence and messages. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I believe these guys should be held pre-trial, just because they can disappear, just because they're a liability. And then while they're in prison, we can just people can just put out stuff that James Comey said or didn't say, and people will fall all over themselves worrying about it. Anyway, Comey probably gonna play retarded. So yeah. Let's see. This week, several years ago, our Republican Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders was kicked out of another restaurant this week. Another restaurant this week. Years ago, she was told to leave the Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia. Now the Croissante restaurant in Little Rock, Arkansas, has told the governor to leave because employees felt uncomfortable having her in the restaurant. One person yelled at her and flipped her off as she left with her friends and security. Sanders went to the restaurant with 3 other local moms for a quick meal. She recounted how she and the other moms were told to leave. Last week I was having lunch and moms at a restaurant approached me as a member of the State Police Executive Protection Detail said, my presence made their employees feel threatened and told us to leave. She added Arkansans are known for their warm hospitality. While the restaurant certainly doesn't meet that standard, my administration will continue focus on lifting up Arkansans, not tearing down others with discrimination and hate. The Croissante, first off, just that fucking name would make me continue to walk by it and look, Jesus, that's a bunch of stuck-up snobbies there, isn't it? Hey, I guess we're hit the break on Rev Radio, and we're hitting the end of the show. Went so fast, but yeah. Take care, God bless, and good day, and we'll see you Monday. So remember that, wow. Time moves, and lots of stuff to talk about, lots of news, lots of crap still happening. I can't believe Donald Trump's going to put Marines on the ground in Iran, right offshore where artillery can reach them. I got some retarded military advisors there. That's what I have to say. So expect some big blow-ups this coming weekend and this next week with the Russians providing oil. Now here's the thing. If somebody gives somebody something, they don't take currency for it. They don't take payment for it. If somebody gives Cuba 800,000 barrels of oil on a big tanker, okay? How could U.S. financial sanctions affect that? It doesn't. It can't, and it won't. And with the Middle East shut down, and with Russia shut down oil going into Europe, it's going to be pretty. It's going to be sketchy. That's what I would say. It's going to be really sketchy. Okay, and remember, these are the things these are the things that escalates into, you know, the world wars. But yeah. So anyway, remember that you do change the world. And thanks for all you do, everybody. Lots of stuff going down. And remember that keep your powder dry because you never know when you're going to need it. Bye-bye.